been outside a little bit. It is very, very hot. I'm very sweaty, if you can tell. I just took a few, I don't know, I've been out there about 30 minutes probably. You can see I got some cucumbers, got some peppers, some tomatoes, some onions, and I even got some blackberries. You can tell by my hands they're stained. I keep looking out the window because the whole time I was out there I heard thunder from every direction, all over the place. No rain yet though. It's looking dark and I can see the trees kind of blowing. I'm praying and hoping that this means we're going to get a storm, we'll get some rain. Things are so dry. Everything we've got is just drying up, and we have been watering, but water just doesn't do like what the rain can do. And you can't, it's hard to get enough water unless you had a big irrigation system and endless supply of water. Of course we don't. We have a well, so we can't just run it dry every day. But we have been watering, and things are kind of limping along. But they can only do so much, you know, until you get rain. So I'm really excited that I hear thunder. And later in the week we are supposed to be a sure chance of rain. We'll see. We've heard that before and not got any, so we'll see. So I'm about to cook supper. I've had a really busy day. I helped Corey this morning take little sweet Woodrow to the doctor just for a checkup. Just one of his, you know, when they're babies they have to go very often for checkups. Everything's good. Everything's fine. He's doing wonderful. The doctor even said he was showing out. He was doing so good. So I'm going to cook supper though, and Austin and Corey and the baby's going to come up and eat. And of course I'm going to cook for all of us. I'm going to cook something that I grew up eating. It's super simple. Couldn't be easier. You probably eat it yourself too. And it's really quick and simple. I have some beans. I have soup beans in the Instapot I put in there about an hour ago. Someone sent us some beans, so we've been eating what they sent. Of course, we don't want them to go to waste, and they are pink beans. Thank you for sending them, and they're tasty. They're good. They're tasty, so I put some of those in it. Just had a little bit left, so I put those in the Instapot. We're going to have them. Of course, we're going to have cornbread to go with them. I'll cut up some cucumbers, and we've got these little Tommy toes. We've got some onions. I'm going to cut up one of those peppers. Our peppers, or the gypsy peppers at least, are doing good. And oh, and I made cookies. I made some really easy recipe for peanut butter cookies. Of course, peanut butter cookies are not hard, but this is a quick, simple one to put up, to whip up. And you can see it doesn't make too many, so I like it. Of course, you can double it or triple it. I've done that if I need a whole lot of cookies, but if you just want something quick that doesn't take long. And I did a video about that, so about those cookies, so I will link to that. But the recipe I'm going to show you that's really just so simple, I don't even need to show you, is Kraut and Weenies. Kraut and Weenies. Now, I grew up with Granny making that. It's a very traditional dish in lots of places. Lots of places they might use kielbasa with their kraut. We use what we say weenies. We mean hot dogs. Well, we have those wonderful hot dogs that we got from Adam Farm. They're so good. I mean, they're just the best hot dogs ever. They're beef hot dogs. So I have a couple of those left. I'm going to chop those up and use them. And I have a jar of, I think this is our last jar of kraut from last year. So let me move my berries. I was going to show you, a lot of people say, well, Tipper, my kraut turned brown. Is it still good or not? Now, everyone has to make up their own decisions about what's safe to eat, of course. That's totally up to you, and you've got to make your own decisions, and I can't give you advice about that. But I will show you my kraut. So this jar, smells so good. I've already tasted it. It is good. I didn't get it near full enough, you can see. So I didn't get it all the way up to the top like I should have. So the top, probably about that much, is pretty brown, but then even the bottom part is kind of, it's not like white cabbage, you know. And I'm still going to eat that. Now again, you have to make up your own decision. But a lot of times things that you can, whether it's jelly, kraut, pickles, a lot of things, on the top there may be just a little bit of brownness. And a lot of times you just scoop that out, and underneath it, it's all just looks like it should look. That little top part often forms like an air, I don't know, an air protection, I guess, or something. And that's why sometimes just the very, very top part will be a little brown. But again, you'd have to decide whether or not you wanted to do that or not. But I did want to show you though as an example. So this is a jar, and I've already eat out of it, straight out of the jar. It's delicious. But my main problem was I didn't get it full enough. Granny would say, she'd take one look at it and she'd say, "You didn't pack that kraut tight enough in that jar. I told you, you got to pack it really, really tight. I mean, she puts some elbow grease in hers and gets it packed super, super tight. And I don't usually do that, as you can see. Anyway, I'm going to put this on. I'm going to do my cornbread first. And this is just going to be such an easy supper, but it's also going to be really good. I look over there and see something on the stove, and then reminds me. I also have a pot of green beans left from a few days ago, so I'm warming those up in case somebody would rather have green beans instead of the soup beans or pink beans. And then I have a little bit of fruit salad left. I have that in the refrigerator, so I'll get that out. So I've got my big cast iron frying pan. I've got a little bit of olive oil in the bottom of it. You could use lard, you could use butter, you could use whatever you'd like to use. And then I'm just going to start. I've just sliced up the weenies. You could put them at any size, any thickness you want, as thin or as thick as you like. Some people do them in like, I've seen them before, like almost in French fry. Like think of that, long strips. But Granny always did hers in little circles, so that's what I do. Ooh, and be careful for the popping, it will happen. So I'm just going to let them cook until they get a little brownness, a little color on them, and then I'll flip them over. And then after that, I will put the kraut in with them. And I drain my kraut before I add it to the pan. So I'll be doing that right now while they're cooking and getting a little bit of color. How much color you want on them also, of course, depends on personal preference. A lot of people like to almost burn them because then you get those little crunchy places on them that are really good. We've always, like I said, Granny always done this with Weenies, hot dogs, but you could, kielbasa would be great like this too, or any kind of sausage, I guess. I think I'm ready for the kraut. If you notice this spatula that I'm using, it's an old one. It was Miss Cindy's, and I had it, but I've just recently started using it, and it just has the best absolute feel. Of course, I know that she probably loved it because of this little, that's just like a decorative curve, but every time I use it, I can just see why she had it right beside her stove and why she liked it. It just feels so great, and it's a really good size. And that's it, Weenies and kraut. Super, super easy. I'm going to turn it down, let it kind of keep cooking just so the kraut can warm through, and then I'm going to get the rest of my supper. I'm going to chop up the cucumbers and the peppers and all that and get it ready. My cornbread's just about to come out of the oven, and then we'll be ready to eat. I was putting my cucumbers in the refrigerator and I saw the turnips, the surprise turnips that me and Matt found. I meant to cook them tonight, but obviously I did not. I forgot all about them. I kept thinking, like, am I going to make potatoes? And I was like, no, I'm not going to make potatoes, but it was those turnips I was thinking about, or my brain was trying to think about them, so I didn't see them until I put the cucumbers in. I was really disappointed, but Matt said, you know, we'll be eating this tomorrow night, so you just make the turnips to go with it tomorrow night, and he's right. So Corey and Austin are not going to come eat with us. I thought they were, but I called Corey to tell her that it was ready, and she was like, hello. She took a little nap when the baby was napping. You know, when you've got newborns and they get up all hours of the night, it's hard to, you got to rest when you can rest. In other words, hard to get your sleep. So they're not going to come. So me and Matt will definitely have this for leftovers tomorrow night. I'm going to, of course, get my cornbread and put some of those wonderful beans with that wonderful pot liquor over them. Looks so good. I love the juice on the cornbread. Of course, you know by now I love pretty much anything over cornbread. That's how I like it. Give me some Kraut and Weenies. And some, get me a green onion and some cucumbers. Little tomatoes, little tomatoes, they're so good. And a piece of pepper. So I gotta try the Kraut and Weenies. I know they're gonna be good. This goes so well together somehow. I don't know how. It just does. So good. And really takes me back to childhood. Often we had soup beans and cornbread and Kraut. Granny didn't always do the Weenies and the Kraut. Sometimes it was just the Kraut by itself. But I always loved it when she did. Now, I liked Kraut some when I was little. Like, I wouldn't just not eat it. But even Paul was pickier than me. But even he, you know, if I was being picky, or even because he was picky, what we could do is we could pick the little Weenies out and we could eat them. So that's what we would do. I would eat some of the Kraut too, but I didn't like it as much as Granny and Pap until I got grown, and then I just fell in love with it. It's funny how your taste changes like that over the years. The day that I'm filming this is actually Pap's birthday. If he was still alive, he'd be 87 today, 87 years old. So as you might imagine, I've thought about him today. I wrote about him on the Blind Pig and the Acorn. I'll link to that in the description below if you missed it, and shared my thoughts about him, and shared a whole list of old links where I'd wrote about him in the past, or shared stories that he had told me, those kind of things. So if you're interested in learning more about Pap, that would be a good place for you to go and learn more. You can always jump over to the Blind Pig and the Acorn YouTube channel to hear Pap, to hear him, his beautiful tenor harmony, hear his tenor voice, and hear him and Paul sing together, and hear some with him and his brother. You can even hear him and Granny on there. So it seems very fitting to me that today I'm eating one of the meals I would have eaten sitting at Pap's table, Granny and Pap's table, when I was a young girl in the summer like this, having those wonderful green onions and fresh cucumbers and little tomatoes, and then of course cornbread and beans were just one of the staples of our meals all year round. Really nice to think about today. I hope you enjoyed seeing how simple Kraut and Weenies is. You'll have to tell me if you like it, if it's something you like. If you've never tried it, you should try it. Really easy to make and so good. I'm always glad when you stop by to help me celebrate Appalachia.